episode of the Show Me NASCAR Podcast. My name is Kaleb alongside my good friend Harry B. Loomis out in St. Louis. Man, you guys probably been wondering where we've been, and we got a unique story. At least I do. I don't know about Harry, but man, we are back after Atlanta, a crazy weekend there. Harry, we're just going to go ahead and start with our week recap, man. How you been these past couple of weeks? Happy spring break.
Yeah, good to be on spring break. It's safe to say I've had easier past couple of days than you have, so no complaints on my end, but glad to see you're doing all right.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Yeah, this week and a half, you guys are probably wondering if there was a Phoenix episode. Unfortunately, there's not. We did not record one. There was no internet issues there. Body issues is actually what happened. I discovered that I had appendicitis Sunday and a little bit more, so they had to cut me open on the stomach here. So I did not see Sunday's race at Phoenix last week. So there's really not much to talk about there, but I am out of the hospital finally. So, but we did watch Atlanta, or at least I did watch that Sunday at home, and man, there's a lot of unique stuff going on there. But man, so often in Atlanta, we got Xfinity, we got Cup there, a lot of interesting storylines overall. What do you think of this Atlanta track, and what did you think of this weekend's activities?
You know, it's interesting. I'm really trying to get on board with New Atlanta, and I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is on my end, but the biggest thing to me is that it doesn't seem necessary. Like the idea is fine. Do it at Texas. You know what I mean? Atlanta was a great track. Don't get me wrong, they had to repave. I think it was Ryan Vargas who had a really good point on Twitter that, the track had to repave, and repaved tracks don't have the best action the first couple of years. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with it. Why not try something different while you're trying to get the track worn in and everything like that and try something like this? From that perspective, I can understand it, but to me, it's just not the best racing. It's just not full-on super speedway. I don't feel like it differentiates enough from a regular speedway, and it's not as chaotic or you can do as much on a super speedway. It just feels like it's too narrow, just doesn't feel like it works. But I will say it was cool to see the finish of the Cup race. I thought it was awesome. It was good to see them race as hard as they did and keep it clean. I think the interesting thing is if that's anyone else other than Brad Keselowski leading, whoever was the second car behind Logano on the inside line probably ends up winning because you throw too heavy of a block and you end up with a wreck on the outside lane. The bottom goes by the win. I think it would have been Tyler Reddick. But I thought I'm still not 100% on board. It's still not my favorite type of racing by any means, but it was a better finish than we could have gotten for sure.
I love plate racing. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna be that weird guy. I'm gonna be that fake fan that loves crashes. No, I really don't like crashes, but I love plate racing. But Atlanta is like a watered down, great value version of plate racing, and I tell you what, man, it just the final 40 laps saved this race, and I think Jeff Gluck from The Athletic, who does a teardown with Jordan Bianchi, he said it best. I don't like this type of race. I don't like the new Atlanta, but the final 40 laps, that made it interesting, and that made it a decent race for me. Would I say it's a good race? Yes, you could kind of persuade me saying no, but I'm going to say yes just because it was a good finish. We got a last lap pass there, but here's what I'm afraid of is that, and you mentioned Texas, I don't want this to be the new, we got to repave a mile and a half, let's just go ahead and make it a super speedway racing. No, because it's not super speedway racing. It's not Daytona and Talladega. You're never going to top them or never going to be them. I don't know, man, because I remember when this first happened and everyone was going, they just need to keep Atlanta. Well, that's not a plausible option. I was actually looking forward to it, thinking we're going to see actually speedway racing. First year, it was cool, it was unique. Second year, not as much. And the final 40 laps saved it. Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano, some of the best super speedway racers out there, especially in this time period for active drivers. They are the best, and they made it a good show. But it just, I don't want Texas to be this. I'm going to go on a hot take here. I would rather Texas be what it is now than repaved into an Atlanta, even if that means closer finishes, closer racing like that is, because I don't like that amount of halves. I almost wish they would have repaved Atlanta to just to be a regular mile and a half, and just to see what these next gen cars could do on it, because we were all last Memorial Day weekend at the Coke 600. We were all kind of dreading Charlotte because it's kind of not been good racing for these Gen 6 cars. But for the next gen, it was phenomenal. It was a great race, 5.5 hours. We wanted more. I would almost like to see what Atlanta would be like repaved with these next gen cars, or even the old surface. The old surface would have been great, but it's too late now. They already did all the dirty work, and it's never going to happen. So I don't want this to be the future of mile and a halves. And to be honest, I don't want them converted into short tracks either, because I think we're going to get short track heavy in the next couple of years, like we are with the road courses. We're going to get sick and tired of them. We're going to be going back, I wish we had mile and a halves in the playoffs, or I wish we had this mile and a half. So it's just a lot on my mind.
No, I get where you're coming from, and my big thing is I absolutely am with you. I don't want two of these types of tracks. My thing is, why not use the regular speedway format at Atlanta if you ever have to repave Texas, and then switch this kind of racing to Texas, because Atlanta. I kind of forgot what I was trying to do there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I tried to turn off my notifications, then ended up muting you. So I was like, wait a second, that's not what I wanted to do. So the big thing is Atlanta, a narrower track, they increased the banking. I think it's like 28 degrees now. When you put the regular speedway package on that, you could get a hell of a race. 28 degrees, that's something you don't have at any speedway. You have it at Talladega, Daytona, and Bristol. That could be really exciting to see. So I think that would be something different that we don't have everywhere else. And the fact that it's more narrow, I think it could put on a really good show. When it ages in, give it that 5 to 10 year grace period, and just see what it can do. Because I think the way it's set up could be a really interesting speedway track.
Yeah, and I remember asking Kurt Busch this at Kansas last May. Actually, one of the first times we actually met. But I remember I asked Kurt, because he had a great finish with Larson there battling for the last couple of laps, and I asked Kurt, do you think that Atlanta could be like this, newly repaved Atlanta? And of course he was like, well, no, I think NASCAR is afraid for us going, over 200 miles an hour, which is understandable. So that you can't just take not the plates, but you can't just, take a regular car there. It has to be a super speedway car, or else, we're going to have 210 miles an hour. It would be hot land. It would be the fastest track in NASCAR, I'm pretty sure. Probably top in Michigan or whatever. But, like I said, I would hate for other good mile and a half racetracks to be turned into Atlanta, but it is what it is. NASCAR's got to do what it's got to do. So it's SMI, who owns Atlanta Motor Speedway. But I don't know, man. It's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. But I will say, as bad as those first two stages were, they were terrible. I could not. It was hard to pay attention. It was hard to watch because there was literally nothing going on. It's what we always feared Daytona and Talladega could end up being. Just freight train, one lane, no one's doing anything on the bottom type of racing, and it's just not fun to watch. It's just a way to pass time, which for them I completely understand it, but as a fan I hate it. There's no interest to watch because what's going to happen. The 40 laps were really, really good. And the fact that it was clean, the fact that it was two of the absolute best in the business, that was nothing short of a masterclass between Keselowski and Logano, because, we don't know what kind of terms they really ended on when Keselowski left Penske. They had a couple run-ins, I remember the 2020 shootout clash, whatever you want to call it, where Keselowski kind of called him out. And 2021 500 when they wrecked 1-2, giving Michael McDowell the win.
Right.
It seemed like he was pretty annoyed with the blocks and everything like that in both of those, but they raced each other super well, super clean, and it was really cool to see. It wasn't just the Fords were trying to help each other, the Toyotas were trying to help each other, but at the end of the day, everyone went for the win, and really that's all you can ask for.
And here's how bad this type of racing has not been, but like how bad of a rap it is. If you look back, or if you remember back on the final couple laps of the race, Fox had a caution light icon on the bottom of the screen there, just to point the moment of caution if there would have been a wreck on the final 2 laps or whatever, to cause an overtime finish, That's how much, how good the final 40 laps were, is that they didn't wreck. They had Logano passing Keselowski and not causing a huge pileup, a huge Atlanta wreck or whatever. I think that was great, and I wish Super Speedway had more of that, and it was more, drafting instead of just of a crash fest. But kudos to them. I thought they would have wadded him up, and we would have had another, underdog winner, kind of like what we talked about in our Daytona episode.
Yeah, absolutely, and credit to Fox. I think that's a great idea because we've seen, Daytona had a late wreck. We're going to see the winner. Vegas had a late wreck. Mm-hmm. They said green, but you never know. Just kind of the same thing as Daytona. Phoenix, there was a green white checker. You've kind of seen the need for it, and I think it's a really good way to kind of save time because it's always one of the worst spots for Fox or NBC to be in when there's a caution and they don't have the right angle right away. They can't get to it right away, and they can't tell who won, and they just waste time showing the carnage, talking about what they saw when it's nothing more than an educated guess. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. And Saturday, the Xfinity race, I watched it, I don't know about you. If you guys watched it, you know how much of a crash fest, or not even crash fest, it was a crash fest at the end there, but a caution fest filled race that, the Fox was up on their TV time within the engine stage too. That's how many caution laps were, and during the caution, Josh Williams, who was involved with a wreck, made some repairs on his car, put some Bear Bond, but it was cold in Atlanta, and that Bear Bond does not stick on them cars as well. It flew off the car. NASCAR says, you're done for the day. You made the caution longer. So Josh Williams pulled, I want to say it Antonio Brown, because Antonio Brown responded to the video of Josh Williams. He parked his car on the front straightaway. There was a guy at Florence Speedway earlier this year, a late model race, did the same thing. I forget what his name is. Comment in the comments if you guys know who I'm talking about. But he parked his car on the front straightaway under the flag stand, gave NASCAR the peace sign, and walked off. Said, NASCAR, if you're going to park me, you can move my car. Josh Williams, man, then he got called to the holler, stayed there for the majority of the race, and obviously no penalties have been announced yet. What did you think of that?
So I missed the race. I was busy Saturday, so I saw everyone going bananas about Josh Williams, which, he's an underfunded driver. He doesn't get in the spotlight a lot. I'm like, what the hell did he do? And going through and seeing it, it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It's hilarious, and don't get me wrong, I understand NASCAR keeping him in the hauler the entire race, but, from his perspective, how often do you see someone get parked for extending a caution when it's a piece of Bear Bond that flies off the car?
I didn't even know it was a rule.
I didn't know it was a rule either. That doesn't seem like something that he could control by any stretch of the imagination. I understand him being pissed off. Was it the best way to handle it? Absolutely not, but it was hilarious.
No, yeah.
I don't want to say I don't blame him for the actions he used to express his anger, but I definitely understand why he was mad. I don't think he should have been parked at all.
No, I understand why NASCAR has that rule in place, because we've seen races in the early 2010s where the cars are just beaten up. They're 87 laps down with just 15 to go or whatever, and they go out and the cars are just so torn up. They got pieces of debris flying off of them, cause a caution, affect the outcome of a race. But this early in a race, I don't think NASCAR should have done anything. But I understand why, because they were trying to get this show in. They're trying to get it. They got, I believe, the baseball World Conference or whatever it is on FS1. Yes, that they got that going on. They have to push that to FS2 and on the app. They're trying to get their stuff in. They're on the strict TV window. I'm sure Fox is like, hey, you only have this amount of time or whatever. So they're trying to hurry. And I've heard this term being flown around a lot this weekend. You officiate on the flow of the race. It's not going to be black and white all the time. You're going to have some gray areas there. So I don't think Josh Williams should have been black flagged, or I don't think he should have been parked. I don't know do you think he gets fined for what he did on the front straightaway?
Absolutely, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sits out a race or two as well. I think that's something where NASCAR is going to make quite an example and say you're not above this sport, you're never going to show us up like that ever again. Because I think in historically speaking, they've pretty commonly put their foot down, especially for, no disrespect, a guy like Josh Williams. A guy like Kyle Busch does that, and it's a big deal. Everyone's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think NASCAR has the courage to suspend a guy like him. For Josh Williams, he doesn't have that luxury. And the biggest thing for me is, if he's leaking oil, if he's like spewing parts and everything like that, I understand parking him there. That's definitely extending a caution. But a piece of tape, I mean, come on, how long does that take you for you to go get that, pick it up, crumple it up, put it in the back of your truck, and get on with it? That's the biggest thing for me. Like, it's just such an insignificant piece of debris for you to say, you know what, you're done for the day. And I'll get all the other stuff going on with the time frame and everything like that, but still, it just doesn't seem right.
Well, we were having a pizza party in the NASCAR hauler. It's going to take a while to pick up that piece of tape. Did you hear about that?
I did. That was awesome. Instead of just chilling eating pizza in the hauler, that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
I mean, man, I think he will, but I think he shouldn't. I think, I don't want to say it's a bogus call, but it's a bogus call that NASCAR parked him for the race. And so I think it's going to be one of them moments you're going to see on TV replays all the time. And one of the funniest things I heard is because TV and radio could not interview him. He had to go straight to the infield care center, then straight to NASCAR hauler. So people like us didn't get to interview him till probably after the race or late during the race. But I don't know if it was front stretch or kicking the tires or whoever it was that caught it on video, but he was talking to a NASCAR official or whatever, saying, "They're going to find me? I can't pull it," or whatever it is. Something just so...
Like, what are they going to do?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just so funny. Josh has been one of my... I don't pull for drivers, but if I did, I had to pull for Josh. He's one of the drivers I met a couple of years ago. He was out in the fan walk and just had a great conversation with him. So he's a great guy. And he even said he didn't do it out of spite. He was just frustrated. And, like, he didn't have any ill will against NASCAR. That's why he didn't flip off the tower or whatever, and just, crazy things. And I just hope, he gets to sell a whole bunch of t-shirts, because that's going to happen.
The sponsor was eating it up. I forgot. They did something on social media, like, supporting him and everything like that. Bristol even tweeted, like a picture of a stick in the dirt saying, like, reserve for Josh Williams. I found it everyone's in love with it. It's been really cool to see. I haven't personally met Josh, but every account he seems like one of the good guys. So I hope it works out well for him. I don't think they're gonna throw the book at him that bad by any means.
No, I don't think so. Shoot, man. Well, we're kind of flying by, man. Next week, NASCAR attacks Austin, Texas. Will race at the Circuit of the Americas, the NASCAR Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be the first time this year, first time ever, that we're going to have stage racing with no cautions during the middle of it, or at least no planned cautions. That is a big victory for us. If you guys listen to our rant video, or if you listen to earlier videos of us, you guys know that we do not like these stage cautions. So it's going to be entertaining to see. Do you think it's going to... It's obviously going to be a factor in the race, I think, a little bit. But how much do you think it's going to be? Do you think we could see our first cautionless race in over... Gosh, it'd be over 20 years.
I don't think I see it in at COTA, just because it's a new track and we've seen a lot of carnage to begin with. I think 2021 is a wash just because it was a rain race. But even last year was crazy. You saw a lot of action. You saw a lot of beating and banging. If we're gonna see a caution-free race, in my opinion, I think it's gonna be one of either the Chicago Street Course, just because it's a street course that's spread out, or Sonoma. I think those two are your best bet if you're gonna see it. Not saying it's likely, because I think it's sure as hell unlikely. Because I think you just said, I think the last one was, Talladega 02 or something like that. So it's gonna be pretty hard to do. But I think the biggest factor, and again, this is something we'll see more at Sonoma, is just how the strategy changes. Because with Sonoma, we always saw the differences, and those guys going for stage racing and going for the win. And I always said my biggest problem was you could see after stage one, the top, like the two guys who are going to contend for the win, you could tell it right away because nothing happened. Now Coda's not exactly that bad, but it just the fact that it's road course racing, their strategy going in, everything like that. I think it's going to be quite an adjustment for the crew chiefs as well, because there's a lot of guys that weren't a crew chief back in 2016, the last time we didn't have stage racing. Mm-hmm. So to see how they're going to kind of adjust on their toes, because there's really not much of a recent precedent to go by, especially not with this new car. So I'm curious to see how it goes, but I think we're still going to see a pretty fair share of cautions and carnage.
See, I don't know about that, because that's the thing. I know Road America was the one that Tyler Reddick got a win there last year. That race only had 2 cautions. It was a 2-stage cautions. Granted, it's a 4-mile track. I don't think a whole lot went on there. I don't think the racing was that great. I don't really remember watching that race. But, Circuit in the Americas, it's going to be, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a wreck fest. But at the same time, I don't know if NASCAR is going to let it go caution-free. I'm going to go out and say, I think they're going to find a piece of debris. I think someone's going to have a light spin or whatever. They're going to be like, oh, trigger happy, throw the caution, stack them up again. And, and I hate to see that. I would actually kind of like to see a caution-free race. I think that would be, I think it'd be unique. I don't know. You can have a caution-free race and still have a good race.
Absolutely.
You don't need wrecks. You don't need restarts and whatnot. It's exciting. It is. But at the same time, to have a natural battle for the lead, or a natural good race, that feels pretty good. And I think that would be great for the sport. It would put some legitimacy back into the sport. I don't know if I said that right, but I mean, it's just it's something I would like to see for sure.
Absolutely. And I think the best, kind of piggybacking off that, the best point I've ever heard about this is in Slap Shoes did a video when Martin Truex won the 2016 Coke 600 when he led 392, 400 laps. But races like that, those anomalies, it's something special to see. Those aren't always the most look back on funny races or anything like that. But seeing a caution-free racing, guy lead every lap and things like that, or seeing a guy lap the field too, which is, for all intents and purposes, never going to happen again, let's be honest.
Right.
But seeing those things happen, it's something you can't control. It's something that you can't get everyone to buy in and just let this happen. It has to happen organically, and there's something special, kind of something to behold about that. And again, I'm not predicting anything. I'm not expecting anything, but it would be very cool to see, in my opinion.
Right. And before we go predicting who's going to do great at COTA, there was an F1 race this weekend. I don't know if you were able to catch that. I know I did. It was the first F1 race, I think, in a long time I've actually watched from start to finish. They were at Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, I believe is how you pronounce that. Sergio Perez for Red Bull getting a big win there. I believe he led majority of the race. I know he led majority of the race. I can't remember the total laps he led, but man, Red Bull looks strong, and if you don't believe it, look at Max Verstappen. He started 15th, finishes 2nd. Now, if that was a NASCAR race, you would think, oh, that's normal. But in an F1 race where it is super hard to pass, especially on a road course, man, them Red Bull cars, they look strong.
It was impressive to see, especially I think Max got the fastest lap bonus on the last lap too, and it's interesting to see. Everyone was complaining that Red Bull was just at such an advantage, and we're going to win basically every race this year. And right now they're proving them right. They look pretty unstoppable for the time being. But how about Fernando Alonso getting another podium? That was cool.
That was cool.
I think it was the 100th of his career or something like that. They said too. So
it was, and then it wasn't because they for some reason found a penalty. And then the FIA was like, oh, we're going to go back on that. So he does have his 100th podium. Man, the FIA, I tell you what, you guys think NASCAR's finicky on rule changes and being sufficient on, keeping up with the rules? The FIA, man, they just go back and forth and back and forth. I mean, it's proven with how Verstappen won his championship last year in Japan, getting full race points, even though it wasn't a full race. It should have been 50 to 75 points. Percent of points. That's how they do it. So they're finicky, man. I don't know. I just some days I think, man, I wish NASCAR was better on legitimacy, and then you got FIA going, well, maybe you have it, maybe you don't, just so that's just man, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it can always be worse. Just NASCAR fans, as bad as you may think it is, it can always be worse.
Yep, that's 100%. That's 100% true. But yeah, going back to COTA, man, who do you got for Trucks Xfinity Cup? Do you got anyone in mind?
Well, it's kind of interesting this week just because, road courses, you get so many cup drivers in all the races. I know Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain are in the truck race. I think it's Byron, Gibbs, Kyle Busch in the Xfinity truck race. But I think in the Xfinity, it's like Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs. I think even Eric Almirola's running. William Byron's in it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work around those guys. But I'm going to try to pick drivers from each series individually.
Okay.
In the truck series, Zane Smith won it last year. He seems like a guy that's on the right track. He won the championship, obviously, last year. He kind of knows how to get it done just about everywhere now. I'm going to take him in the truck race. Xfinity series could go a lot of different ways. I'm going to take a guy that I think has a win at Road America in his career. I'm going to take Justin Allgaier to get it done. He seems due for a win, and Junior Motorsports needs something. They've had an abysmal start to this year. It's been bad. I don't understand it. But in the Cup Series, it'd be fun to pick a guy like, Jimmy Johnson, Kimi Räikkönen's back, Jenson Button's running for Wick Rare, Jordan Taylor's in Chase Elliott's car, which is going to be cool to see. I think it's going to be one of the main Cup guys that you think of on road courses. He had a good run at COTA going last year. I forget what happened, but did get the finish he deserved. Finally got a stage win. Finally led a lap at Atlanta. I'm going to go with Austin Cindric to get the win.
I like that. That's a good pick. Going into trucks, you got trying to see here. You got. I'm looking at Xfinity. My apologies. You have 39 trucks for 36 entries, I believe so. One guy that's going to, man, I don't know. He's kind of he's won races this year already. Give me Zane Smith, man. I believe that organization's done pretty good. The Fords have done great on road courses, especially Todd Gilliland got the win at Circuit of the Americas, excuse me. The first year, I can't remember who won last year. But man, I like the Fords, and give me Zane Smith for the truck series. Xfinity series, you got 42 entries for, I believe, 36 spots, something like that. 30 is it 36? 38. That's what it is. Got some big names that you mentioned there. I believe this guy, he won the championship last year in the Xfinity series. Give me Ty Gibbs in the number 19, which is going to be ironic just because that number that was Brandon Jones's number, and he got in trouble with him at the end of last year. And for Cup, man, that's a tough one. I'm going on a gut feeling this year, or on this. He won Busch Light Clash. Give me Martin Truex Jr. I believe Toyotas are gonna get some stuff done here at the road courses, and I believe MTJ is going to break that Cup winless streak since September of 2021 at Richmond. He's going to get his first win, and it's going to be our Circuit of the Americas.
I like that a lot. That's a good pick, and I'm surprised that neither one of us in Cup works with anyone with Allmendinger. He seems like a pretty confident bet at races like these, and I don't. To be honest, I don't know why I didn't pick him, but for some reason I'm just thinking he seems like too obvious of a pick. We haven't really seen obvious winners for the most part this year. So
well, you're more than welcome to change. If you want him, you can pick him.
I'll stick with Cindric. I'll feel more proud of myself if I get Cindric right than if I get Allmendinger right.
See, here's the thing about Allmendinger is that everyone's like, oh, but watch out for the dinger at road courses. And yes, he's gotten good results. He got a win a couple years ago at Brickyard, but I don't know. It's just I feel like he should have a couple more wins in Xfinity and especially Cup and the road courses. Just a lot of bad luck. I don't know. I hope he proves me wrong. It'd be cool to see him get a win, get himself locked into the playoffs. His first year back in Cup full time, but we'll just have to see what happens, man.
The big thing is I really just haven't seen much out of Kaulig this year. The Chevys have been the Chevys are 4 for 5 this year, and we've not heard anything about either of them except for Justin Haley getting the penalty that the Hendrick cars got at Phoenix with the however you pronounce it, like the louvers.
Yeah, louvers. Yeah.
Louvers. That's just a weird word. So.
Yeah. So we got that. Man, that's gonna be a fun weekend, man. I'm really interested in seeing what Jordan Taylor can do in the number 9 Napa Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, man. I love him. He's such a great guy. I love his Randy Sandstorm. He's a huge NASCAR fan. It's gonna be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, hope he doesn't try to do too much or anything like that, because really all that team needs is just a good, steady run.
Right.
But I hope he has a blast with it, honestly, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him. So I hope he enjoys it as much as we expect him to.
Yep.
And who knows? He really has nothing to lose and everything to gain. So hopefully he gets to turn some heads this weekend.
Exactly, man. And I don't think he's gonna win. He could prove me wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if he stays out of trouble and keeps his nose clean. He could get a top 15, top 10. I mean, really.
Absolutely. And he's going to a good team too. So you have to expect, pit crew's gonna be fine. Car should run well.
Right.
You don't have to have any dumb penalties. Alan Gustafson's a very good crew chief too. So if he does his job, really the big thing is just stay out of trouble, man. Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
That's exactly it. Well, man, it's been a fun episode. Glad we're finally back, man. You got any final words?
No, it's like I said, glad you're all right. And time for road racing. I've never been a road racing fan in my life, but I've enjoyed COTA the past couple of years, so it should be a good one.
I really haven't either. The only one that I used to really love was Watkins Glen, just because it was really fast. I don't like the whole braking, going 30 mile an hour down a turn. But that's watching it. Now, on here, I don't know if you guys can see my steering wheel, my setup right here. On the Xbox, on the video games, love road course racing. I love shifting and whatnot. I have NASCAR Heat 5. I don't have I do have the 21, but it sucks. But I have the steering setup and everything for NASCAR Heat 5, the traditional 4-speed. And man, especially Sonoma, which I know is a track that you don't like, I love racing there, man. It's so fun, and just love the high speeds and whatnot. So, man, it's road course racing. You gotta love it, you gotta hate it. But should be a fun weekend, man. But thank you guys so much listening for another episode of the Show Me NASCAR podcast. We should be back next week. We're gonna figure some stuff out there for sure. Don't expect us to take any time off. At least for now, we'll probably have some stuff come up here in the far future. But thank you guys for listening. Do appreciate it. Follow and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll catch you later, guys. Have a good one.